to another edition of Old Nax Nuggets, a Bryan's Heating and Air Conditioning podcast where we get on here and we talk about common questions that the homeowner might have about their heating and air conditioning. My name is Brooklyn and I'm here with Bryan Nacarado, the owner and president of Bryan's Heating and Air Conditioning. How are you doing today?
Well, it's another beautiful day, Brooklyn. Sun shining, I got air in my lungs. I'm in good shape.
You're so positive.
So what's on your mind today, Brooklyn?
Well, I was wanting to know why furnaces and air conditioners or heat pumps are not rated the same.
Okay, so the rating scale that is used for furnaces is different than what it is for air conditioners and heat pumps. And with a gas-fired piece of equipment like a gas furnace, they are rated in what is called AFUE, that is Annual Fuel Utilization Efficiency, and that number is always a percentage. So in other words, an 80% furnace, a 92% furnace, a 96% furnace. And so what that means is that for every dollar's worth of fuel that we buy, natural gas or propane, if we have a 95% furnace, we're using 95 cents worth of that dollar's worth of fuel to heat the home. And 5% of that fuel that we're purchasing, that energy is going out through the flue pipe. So for example, if we have an 80% furnace, well, 20% of the heat that's being generated is actually going up the flue. And so when we talk about moving up in efficiency with furnaces, obviously the more efficient the furnace, the more heat we get out of every dollar's worth of energy that we're purchasing to operate that piece of equipment. Now, so again, all furnaces are in a percent of efficiency, AFUE, Annual Fuel Utilization Efficiency. But when we get into air conditioners and heat pumps, they are rated in what is called SEER, and now we have SEER 2, which is the new rating scale. And what SEER stands for is Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio. And this is a ratio of BTUs produced to watts consumed to run the machine. So the higher the efficiency of the air conditioner or the heat pump, it can produce the same BTUs, but it is consuming less watts to do that. And if we're consuming less watts, then we're not spinning the electric meter quite as fast, and so it is more efficient to operate that unit simply because it doesn't consume as many watts. In addition, we also have some other ratings that go along with heat pumps. There's a HSPF, which is Heating Season Performance Factor, and then COP, which is Coefficient of Performance. So there's a lot of different ratings that can go along with air conditioners, even more with heat pumps, but the gas furnaces only have one efficiency rating, and that's a percent of efficiency.
Do air handlers fall under furnace ratings?
So an air handler kind of depends on how it's being used, because an air handler is nothing more than what we call a fan coil unit. It has the indoor coil and it has a blower motor. Now we can put a heat kit in that air handler, and now we actually have changed it from an air handler to an electric furnace. And so it still has the coil, still has the blower, but by adding the heat strip kit in there, it is now an electric furnace. Electric furnaces are 100% efficient. In other words, for every dollar's worth of electricity we buy, we get a dollar's worth of heat out of it. There is no loss going up the flue because there is no flue. We're not burning a fossil fuel.
Are electric furnaces more expensive?
In terms of purchasing or operationally?
Operationally.
Much more expensive operationally. So I mentioned earlier about the rating on a heat pump that is COP, Coefficient of Performance. And what that means is for every dollar's worth of energy that I buy, I get a dollar's worth of heat. Well, that's what an electric furnace is. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. All this wonderful technology we have, and nobody's figured out how to make electric furnaces more efficient. You can't. You can't change the physics of what's happening. However, when we get into heat pumps, We have heat pumps that the COP may be 3.5, maybe 4, 4.5, even 5. And what that means is that, say I have a COP of 3.5, for every dollar's worth of electricity that I buy, I now get $3.50 worth of heat out of it. And so that's where a heat pump is more efficient to operate than just an electric furnace.
Okay. So another term that I have heard thrown around here is EER or EAR.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Okay, so EAR comes into play with air conditioners and heat pumps. And EAR is Energy Efficiency Rating. And what that is that how efficient is that unit when it's 95 degrees outside, period. Whereas SEER, the SEER rating, is done over different outdoor temperatures. But the EER is only done at 95 degree outdoor air temp when they do the testing for it. So in other words, there have been times over the years where a manufacturer may have a unit that's a really high SEER rating, but the EER rating may not be so good. And so you have to kind of look at both of them. What is the SEER? What is the EER? But the EER is just another efficiency rating, and again, the testing for that is done when it at 95 degree outdoor air temp.
They put a lot more work into these things than you'd ever think about unless...
What's really interesting is to go to a heat lab at a manufacturer facility.
They have those?
Oh yeah, and the times when I've been to a manufacturing facility and they have hot rooms and they have cold rooms, and so they have hot rooms that simulate really hot conditions, and they're testing their equipment to see how it performs and the efficiency and so forth. And then they have cold rooms where they run the heat pumps to see how they perform in cold climates.
I would love to see that. That would be awesome.
Hey, Brooklyn, this past weekend I got to have my little grandson Jericho come over and stay with me for a while. We had a fun time. Bad thing of it is, though, I had to child-proof my house.
How'd that go?
And he still got in. Until next time, old Knack out.